Okay, so that's now been sewn in the same way as before. We have our sole in our boot, and we have it going up the hill, and then there's the little heel. Can you see that little square part there? And then we have this flap. Well, the reason we leave that flap and the reason we don't sew right to the edge is because now we're going to turn that flap over and we're going to sew it in here. But we're not going to do that on the machine. We're actually going to do that little bit there by hand. And you may find that bit flap is too long, but like I said, it's better to be too long there than not long enough, because you really have to have some fabric for this heel part. Okay, so all I have to do now by hand is just do a little stitch up there, a stitch, see, a stitch so it comes across there, stitches across there, and then back down here, and that will be our heel. Yep, that will be our heel. And then we will cut that excess off once we've finished, which is only a little bit, but we'll cut that off once we've finished. Now I need to find a needle. Okay, grab some thread. That's just either a very small running stitch that you'll use or a back stitch. Okay, so starting where your machine stitching finished off, okay, because you don't really want any gaps in it. If you do find that once you've finished you've got a little gap in your stitching, just put a couple more stitches in from the other side once it's stuffed. Usually you might put a little bit of trim around your heel anyway, so you will cover up any little, you know, things you think might be wrong. That's the lovely thing about crafting. You can just fix things or disguise things as you go along, you know, especially if you're using laces and things like that. You can cover a multitude of sins, can't you? I think we've all done it. So just little, oops, let's get things out of the way, little stitches all the way around, and then trim that little bit off at the end, and then I'll be back. Now once you stuff your heel, you're going to use whatever kind of filling you want, and you're going to start with little bits. You don't want really, really huge bits in little spaces. So you're going to start with your heel, not your toe. Start with your heel and push little bits of your filling in, and you want it nice and firm. You can use your fingers, it's fine. And once you've got the filling in there, it will show you what you need to do to, you know, if, see, I've got a, mine wasn't wide enough, and I may not have to do anything. If I put some braid around that heel, you probably wouldn't even notice that anyway, but because there's a little gap, I probably will put a couple of little stitches in there. So fill your heel so it's nice and firm like that. Okay, and that's our heel of our boot done, like that. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is insert our inner sole. And I'm just using a scrapbook paper for this. If you want to use a thicker kind of board or like a cardstock, by all means do that. Now this is cut as close to the right size as possible, but because everybody sews differently, you may have to trim it so it fits in properly. You may have to just take a little bit off the sides, but before you do that, put it inside your boot. Okay, now if you're using a patterned paper or cardstock and you have a very light colored fabric, be careful that it doesn't show through. Okay, now place it in there, and you want to get it, you want to maneuver it in there so that the toe is down on your toe, and just see how it's fitting. And it should pretty well fit in there, but you know, all fabric is different thicknesses, all sewers are different, so you have to be able to, you know, compensate for that. So not everybody sews the same. Like this is a thin fabric. If it was thicker, the boot would actually be a little bit smaller. So yeah, so that seems to fit pretty well. See, you can see the seams right along the edge there. If it's just a little bit out, that's fine, because like I said before, you usually put laces and trims around your seam lines anyway. And you're going to push the heel so it sits over the top of your little stuffed heel. Now if it's a bit long, you will trim the back of that paper off. You will take it back out and trim it off. I'm not quite sure. Just give it a little bend so it'll easily bend. That one, yeah, that appears to fit fine. Once it gets some more stuffing on top, that will be fitting fine. Now, the error I made when I made my last ones was I put so much lace and bling on it at the end that, yes, it did stand up, and it stood up fine as long as you weren't going to touch it too much. But I really would have liked some sort of weight down the bottom of it to keep it, you know, from just falling over in the breeze sort of thing. So what I've decided to do is make a little weight to go in the toe of this one so that it will stand up and be much more sturdy for when you want to add all your laces and bits of bling and beading and goodness knows what. You know, you don't want it toppling over and things like that. So I'll be back in a minute. I'm just going to, I haven't done it before, so it's trial and error. I'm just going to get something that I hope will weigh that toe part down. Okay, so what I've thought of is a little bit of rice in one of these small organza bags, just a small one. I've tied a double knot here, and I'm thinking if I put that in, that, you know, that's a nice little weight that may just do the job. So I'm going to put that over the top of my paper sole in there, and that won't go right to the end. But oh yeah, that's really nice. Look at that. Gee, I wish I'd have done that to the others, but I just didn't know. So, you know, what I will do is I will stuff my toe with my fibre fill first, and then I will put the rice bag in there to weigh it down. And that's all the normal rice I have left. I've only got some really nice wild rice and I didn't want to use that in here, so I'm hoping it's enough. because I didn't want to use the good rice. We're funny, aren't we? Okay, so I've stuffed that toe nice and firm. There we go, like that. And now I will put my, just make sure you keep your card the way you need it. Now I will put this in here. Do I need to, I might just trim those knots off because I don't want them sort of pushing against the fabric anywhere. I'm going to put that in there, in the foot part, as best I can. Because it's rice, you know, it's quite mushy and it will act like a filling part as well. So, yep, that's great, isn't it? Oh, I'm happy with that. Yeah, that's going to work fine. And do you see how it's all taking shape now? Look at that. Yeah. Okay, so all I'm going to do now is fill the rest of the boot up with fibre fill. And I'll be back once I've done that. Okay, I'm back again. My boot has been stuffed, as you can see. Just make sure your sole is in the right place on the inside there. Fill in any gaps, you know, stuffing it. If you see a little like gap that needs more, then just stick something in and push it down, make it nice and firm. Maybe a little bit of rice in something in the heel would not be a bad thing. As I said, I don't have any more rice, but I don't think it would hurt to put a little bit of rice in there. I do like the overall weight of it, having something in that toe. I think it's going to help once you start decorating. Now I've stuffed my boot to about, say, maybe just about an inch or so. Probably put a bit more in if I wanted to, but I don't have to. I'm just going to show you how to finish it off now. So you've got your boot, open it up. Are we going to trim that now? We might trim that now. See how the front part, it's a little bit uneven. We can probably just trim that up a little bit now. As I said before, this is not the best fabric because I know once I start cutting my seams on this, they're going to fray. So this boot, you know, I don't know how it's going to, I won't be giving it away, let's put it that way. I was going to give it to someone, but I just don't trust the seams that they're going to fray. I know they are. So yeah, just maneuver it around. Now you want to, once you've done that, you want to be keeping your boot shape as much as possible. And all I did to finish it off was I got a circle of fabric. This is about a 7-inch circle of fabric, and I just carefully pushed it down around the fibre fill like that. Using your fingers to, you know, smooth it out a little bit on those edges. Like that, okay? And that doesn't, you know, you don't get any nasty creases or anything like that. If you're using a thicker fabric and you think you might see it, then use a finer fabric inside. This is all for the sake of showing you how to do it. Once you've got it in there, I mean, you can put lace over the top of that now, which I will probably do because you usually end up with some sort of a little crease going on, although you can smooth that out. It doesn't need to be a big crease like that. What you do now, very carefully, and I'm not sure how this fabric will cope with the glue because you know, some fabrics, if they're fine, will seep through the fabric. So, but this is a demonstration one anyway, but still, you know, it'd be nice if it works, won't it? So what I'm going to do is carefully pull the side out like that, and with my fabric glue, and I can get it all to the bottom, I'm going to run it around and gently press it to hold it in place. Leaving a rim on your boot. Come on, glue. Don't desert me now. And of course, when you're making your boot, you can actually add lace to your fabric then and sew it all then, if that's the way you like to work. And just do this all the way around your boot to keep that in. Okay, well that's basically what I'm going to do. So I'm going to turn the camera off there because my glue's being a little bit slow, and this video is probably quite long as it is. Almost done anyway now. And if you put the glue on the, preferably on the insert part, you've probably got less chance of it seeping through the fabric that way. So just go like that, push that in, get any glue off your hands. Right. Squish it around a bit, get the shape of your boot. You don't want to lose that boot shape, do you? Like that. Check the sides for anything going on regarding the glue. Okay, so that's the side part there, front of the side part there, so you can't really tell. And then when you get your glue, your laces, and what will happen as you put laces, like ruffled laces on the inside here, it will also help all that to stay in, because you don't want that popping out, because that's your stuffing, isn't it? Let's go down a little bit there. And that is how you make yourself a lovely little vintage style boot. And perhaps a bit of rice wouldn't go astray in the heel. Stands up perfectly anyway. Nice weight to it this time with that bit of rice in there. You could put a bigger bag of rice in there if you wanted, but like I said, I didn't have any of the cheaper rice still available. So yeah, before you put your wadding in, be sure you have as much filling in it as you want. This could probably do with a little bit more in there. You know, I've noticed there's a couple of little spots I would have liked to fill out a little bit more, and there could be a bit more up here too. So it's a bit more sturdy. It could definitely do with a little bit more in there. I can take that out and add more now if I want to. But yeah, just check all those things. See here, there's a little bit of loose area too. Fill it up with stuffing. I'm definitely going to take that back off and put some more stuffing in this. But that's how you make your boot, ladies, and I hope you enjoyed that tutorial, and I hope you give it a go. It's not as hard as you think, and you know, even if you make a little mistake or something, you will find you will cover it with laces and trims anyway. so no one will ever know, will they? Okay, thank you so much for joining me today. Take care now. Bye bye.